Aquí estamos reencontrándonos con Brian Weiss. Borges, un escritor argentino, había en alguno de sus cuentos, habría imaginado un hombre que se preguntaba si él era el sueño de alguien que otro soñaba, y así sucesivamente. ¿Cuánto tendrá que ver el sueño con esto de las vidas pasadas y el reencuentro con nuestras vidas pasadas a partir del sueño?
Many people do remember their past lives in their dreams. Because sometimes when you dream of yourself in an older time, a different place, it's not just a Freudian distortion or a metaphor. Sometimes it's actually a past life memory that's emerging into the dream. It's a very good question that Borges asks, because it's like this chair. Is it solid or is it energy? We exist in so many different dimensions at the same time that it could be that this is the most dreamlike. Another way that I would say it is that this is not really our home, Earth. This is strange for us. Our home is on the other side. That's the reality. And sometimes when you dream, you visit there. People actually visit there. But this seems so real to us. This illusion is so strong because our body feels so solid and real. But it's not really our essence. Our essence is the soul.
Cuando nosotros soñamos, nos desprendemos del cuerpo físico e iniciamos un viaje con el alma.
I think sometimes this does happen, yes. The part that separates I'm very interested in, because this is again the soul, the consciousness. And sometimes people come back from these kinds of traveling dreams with information that they had to travel to some place to know, like a physical description of a particular city or building or something like that, or a house, or a conversation. And so, but not all dreams are like that. I should say, though, as the doctor in me, I don't want the viewers to become alarmed. This is completely safe. Nothing bad can happen to you. You always come back to your body. There's nothing to worry about.
Le quiero preguntar, ¿por qué cuando alguien habla de vidas pasadas, siempre eligen personajes clásicos de la historia? Mujeres que quieren ser Cleopatra, o dicen varones que fueron Napoleón o Washington. ¿Por qué buscan o tipifican con personalidades de la historia? En vez de decir, bueno, fui a lo mejor un labrador en las montañas.
Almost all the time in my work, I find mundane, ordinary lifetimes. I don't find famous people. There are two factors. One is the metaphor. Take Napoleon, as you mentioned. Perhaps someone needs power, and so it's not really a past life, but a metaphor that comes to them of power.
Necesita poder.
Necesita. Pero there's another point, and that's the distortion. For example, a patient I had, he thought he was Napoleon in his past life. And I very, very rarely find famous people. But when we went into the regression in detail, even more detail, we found that he was a corporal in Napoleon's army. He was there, but a corporal, not a lieutenant, not a captain, not a general, not Napoleon, just a soldier. But in his mind, because he could see that, if there was some distortion, and he switched, and he thought he was Napoleon. No, just a soldier. And that's...
Hay una película de Woody Allen que es Un día en la vida de Boris Grushenko, que él también quiso ser, pero un simple soldado.
Sí. And Woody Allen said one time, he said, I don't believe in an afterlife, but I am bringing a change in underwear. He's not taking any chances.
Es muy bueno. ¿Qué cosa los escépticos? ¿Qué le ocurre cuando frente a usted tiene un escéptico?
I enjoy talking with skeptical people. I was completely skeptical myself before I began my work.
Escéptico.
If it's a good skeptic, that's even better. Once I debated Carl Sagan, the astronomer, a very intelligent
Una vuelta a
man.
la cabeza.
See, and he forgot what skeptic really means in the Greek sense. Skeptic means someone who knows the subject matter. They have read it, studied it, but they offer alternate explanations for the phenomena, for the events.
Claro.
Perhaps it's this, perhaps it's that. Plato believed in past lives, but Aristotle didn't.
Sí.
And so they had
Así es.
debates. That's a good skeptic. But Carl Sagan, in our debate, he didn't read my books, any of them. He didn't prepare. He didn't read other books. He didn't try to have a regression himself. So he came, but totally unprepared. He thought he would just intellectually challenge me.
Oponerse, resistir frente a la negativa permanente.
Sí. And I started to tell him about the data I've collected, the research that's been going on, and he was shocked. And then I asked him, Carl, how are your patients doing? Because this is a very effective therapy. And he answered me, well, I'm an astronomer, I don't have any patients. And I said to him, I know that. That's why you shouldn't be sitting here debating me. And to his credit, he apologized. He said, I'm not prepared. I really didn't think it would be this serious. And I apologize. I shouldn't be here debating you.
¿Y qué le pasa con sus pares, con otros psiquiatras, cuando debaten estos temas? ¿Por dónde coinciden y por dónde pasa la diferencia? Aquellos que hacen un psicoanálisis tradicional y hacen un viaje por el inconsciente.
I've been doing this work for 21 years now, and it's been getting better each year. More and more people know. To a psychoanalyst, I say, you don't have to believe it, because anything that comes into the mind is important. I'm just expanding the arena of psychoanalysis. Instead of stopping at early childhood, we go back even further. And then we talk about these very unusual experiences that I've seen in my patients over the years. People speaking foreign languages that they've never learned. Xenoglossia, this is called. People reading concentration camp numbers from their arms. In a past life, they may only be 30 or 40 years old now. They read the numbers. They're also describing stores and families and names and towns in Europe. And when they go to check it out, or I do, or I have a researcher in Sweden actually who checks these things out for me and for himself, we find that these are accurate memories. These people, with corresponding to the numbers, they did exist and they died in the Holocaust. So when I point this out to psychiatrists and others, we get into very interesting discussions if they're intelligent, if they don't have a closed mind. Because Carl Jung believed in reincarnation.
Claro.
Carl Jung talked about the collective unconscious, a knowledge of all things. And so the roots of this work in psychiatry actually run very deep, all the way back to Jung. And he and Freud discussed these concepts.
Cuando se habla sociológicamente de masas, se habla del inconsciente colectivo. Un partido de fútbol, manifestaciones políticas, pero no se habla de la espiritualidad colectiva. Uno puede decir, bueno, una mañana frente a la Plaza de San Pedro, una invocación, hay una energía importante. Río Ganges, energía importante. Pero sin el ropaje de la religión, el hombre puede tener una comunión espiritual.